us football guys, basketball guys, and stuff at Western, we have these. We can't, rival with Tech, rival with Carroll. Do you in the rodeo? I'll use the term arena. In the rodeo end of sports, do you guys have that same rivalry? And if you do, is it as heated as the other sports? And who is it?
Yeah, rodeo's a little bit different. Rodeos, we do have rivalries. And I would say our biggest rival in our region is MSU. I mean, ever since I've been in college, MSU and Western have kind of always, one of them too has always been at the top. So it's kind of, and if not battling each other, so it's kind of our two programs really seem to go back and forth since I've been known or watched college rodeo. But when you actually get in the arena, it is a little different. I mean, the whole time I went to college, an MSU kid hazed for me in the steer wrestling.
Sure.
I had MSU kids haze for me at the college finals, and MSU kids are pushing for Western kids, and Missoula kids are helping you. You're sharing horses. I mean, so rodeo's always been a little different that way, and it's been hard to explain unless you've been in there. But you go out and you might be winning the rodeo, but you'll turn around and help your buddy, no matter where he's from or or try to beat you. And some people, yeah, it's hard to explain, but that's just kind of the rodeo culture, I guess. So yeah, we do have on the side we have rivalries, but at the same time, any one of those coaches would do anything for my kids. I would do anything for one of those kids, and our kids would help each other out all the time. And so it's kind of a unique atmosphere that way. But again, I think it kind of separates us a little bit. Yeah, you don't,
Sure.
you wouldn't see probably a football kid, help out another football kid while he's out there on the field, and that's understandable,
Right.
100%.
Right.
So, but where we're kind of competing, on our own right there. I mean, kids are willing to do whatever they can to help their buddy out, and so it kind of makes it unique. Because again, I think deep down you're still hoping that we have our rivalries and we want to beat them. Really, I mean, we want to win because too, if money's on the line, college rodeo kids can actually win money.
Right.
So money's on the line too, and so. There's a kind of it's a unique mixture there. So, but no, I would say MSU has been our biggest rival. Actually, Northwest College has kind of come in on the men's side here the last 3 or 4 years, and so they've kind of stepped it, up there where they've been a pretty good rival on the men's side. But MSU women, for as long as I've known, they've been very, very good. So I mean, that's kind of the school they've been our rivals and trying to go after them. So
Cool.
I coach there still.
Right. No,
yeah. Yeah.
And I said that last question was my last question, but just one more. So I know when, say, the football team at Western recruits, it's hard to get kids from way outside the area. The weather's a big factor.
Yeah.
And I know that kids from Arizona, Texas, California, they get to rope all year long. They get to be outside, rodeoing all year long. Do you find it's hard, like it is with football and basketball and every other sport,
100%.
to find those kids and go get them out of an area where,
Oh yeah. 100%.
hey, look, I'm able to do this, 12 months a year.
Yeah, 100%. Especially where our season is split, so we have a fall season and a spring season. And most of those kids, some of them have probably never even hardly seen snow, so,
Right.
and like I said, if you do go down south and see those rodeos, everybody's driving 2-wheel drive trucks, and, so to try to get those kids to come up here and, like I said, they're roping in December and competing in December and there's t-shirts, and we're, most of the time we aren't even, if we're doing anything, it's limited because we don't go when it's 20 below. That's just
Or
hard.
it's indoor.
Yeah, even if it's indoor, and that's just hard on animals. It's like you get because they don't get to stay inside like we do. So you get them hot and sweaty inside, and you take them out in the cold. So I mean, we got a lot of times where we're pretty set back, and it's hard to keep animals alive. Just our practice cattle when it's cold like that. So we do have a different dynamic that way. So yeah, trying to talk kids into those areas to come up here. The ones that some of them that we can maybe have a chance, they got to like the outdoors. They got to like to do.
Sure.
They have to like to do something other than rodeo.
Right.
Is what and I mean that kind of goes back to I guess a question you guys asked me earlier. What I would say to parents is, what do you like to do outside of rodeo?
Right.
I think Dylan offers so many things that recreational wise, hunting, fishing, hiking,
And as
skiing.
a hunting outfitter, you
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and so that's another big thing I try to talk to. That's we get a lot of those kids. I mean, I got a kid now. He was so excited to fly fish. I think he's been fly fishing every night. So
Good for him.
getting those kids up here out of those areas that didn't grow up here, it's a lot different, you know. So
And it makes you proud when you don't have those strong ties to those kids that are down there in that warm weather all the time. So when you compete the way you guys compete, it makes you proud. I think that's awesome.
100%.
Absolutely, you guys are doing a great job.
when we get to the college finals, you know, yeah, we still hold it. I mean, we've held our own for a long time. You know, this region has. So we always send really good kids down there. You know, and so that shows a lot for what the coaches and, like I said, the cultures up here and just the communities and everybody. I mean, people love rodeo in Montana, so there's a lot of support behind it, and so that.
Well, and you think about, you know, football at Western, basketball, all the sports. It's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up, it's gone down, but rodeo has always maintained a high level of competition.
Yeah.
And that's just, you know, coming. Ole was here for 30 years. You know, that helps. You know, having somebody.
Don't make me feel that way.
Yeah. So, no, and you can't do it without the support that they've had. You know,
Absolutely.
and the good. You know, and we get a ton of just, you know, kids from small towns, grew up on ranches, grew up working hard. You know, they know. You know, and that's got to be kind of independent in rodeo a little bit. You know, we're a team sport, but they got to have a little. Which every sport has to have that as well, you know. But some of the events they kind of have to do some stuff on their own at home and
Well,
stuff
they got to
like.
do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
they got to have their own stock. And
Oh,
they've
yeah.
got- right. It's
You know, they got to take care of their
horses.
horses. It's a lot. It's a little bit different in that sense. So you got to get those kids that grew up in those working hard on ranches and farms and those kinds of things up here, and grew up living when it's cold. yeah. So
Great.
it's always funny to go to the college finals. What is that in June? And you see some of those kids, they're wearing coats from down south. You know, the rest of us are wearing T-shirts because of it's
It's
know
55. It's awesome.
Yeah. So
Right.
yeah.
So when I got here in '91, the sub was the place, and I got to meet a lot of the Western rodeo guys at that time: Jesse Peterson, Todd Garrison, Jimmy Garrison, the whole gambit. We played pool in between classes. It was a lot of BS went on there. So I guess my question is to you: is tradition in rodeo like tradition in the other activities at the school? I mean, Western gets a lot of kids of past players, let's say in football, maybe basketball. I don't know so much about the basketball, but I know football we do. Is that a big part of the rodeo?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I rodeoed here with the Nargains, you know, and I'm pretty sure Donnie, you know,
Yeah.
they were here, you know, and the Garrison, I rodeoed with Holden Garrison, you know, here, and so I do feel it's a big time tradition, you know. You kind of, especially because if you went to school here, you have that, you know, deal, and it kind of goes back to that building in those little rivalries, you know. They do. You want to go to Western and try to beat, you know, the MSUs, or the MSU try to beat the, you know, so it does. No, we do have definitely a big time tradition with that. So, again, but and just kind of depends. I mean, kids still. I mean, sometimes you do get the kids up here that want to go south too. Like, you get the vice versa again, where they want to go down there where it's warm, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
maybe their
No,
mom and
it's
dad
a-
rodeoed up here.
It's a
but,
tough call.
oh, it is. But no,
Yeah.
there's been families here rodeo. I got a girl on the team; her whole family's rodeoed here, you know. And
Oh,
so,
really?
yeah, the Lufkin girl. I think it was her mate, or Worthen was her sister's. I think she would have been here right after those guys and stuff. But you know, so yeah, we get a lot of families that come through and stuff. So.
So like in the early '90s, I remember the program was, and the only reason I say the early '90s because I'm more familiar with it from then when I was going to school there, and Western was a powerhouse in the rodeo scene at that time. I mean, you had Jesse and Kenny Holland.
Two
You know,
national champions.
Yeah. You know, so I mean, how is Western these days when you rank them that way? I mean, I have to. I'm ashamedly got to admit that I don't really know.
When I was here from 2009 to 14. When I was in 2009, you know, Wyatt Smith won the steer wrestling national championship, rodeoed for Western. Taylor Nargain won it the next year, rodeoed for Western. The whole time I've been there, we've had kids that placed in the top 4 or 5, you know, and so I would say we're still, you know, strong, you know, and that the college finals down there is just, it's who shows up at that rodeo, you know, but
Right.
you know, as a national champ, we haven't had a national champion for a few years now, but Ruger Piva almost won the bull riding here a few years ago. You ended up second, so I mean, we're like I said, every year we're still sending a kid that's, or they hold their own down there. So.
Yeah. Is the what? It's the
On the Bridger
CNFR.
Chambers, we got Bridger Chambers out of Western.
Oh, yeah.
That's second in the world last 2 years. So
Yeah, he didn't rope very good over the weekend.
no,
I guess.
he hasn't roped for a while. I know. I was giving. So I rodeoed with him and Ty Erickson and those guys. I was giving them a hard
I
time.
had him and Jay Anderson. I
Oh, yeah.
kind of ended up buying him in the Calcutta for the roping. So it didn't turn out very well.
Tell them they hadn't roped in a few years. They were steer wrestlers now, so I guess they're doing pretty good at the steer wrestling side, though. Yeah. So.
Of the Montana kids maybe you're looking at, is there any of the kids locally, around Dillon or close to Dillon? I mean, I know it's hard because not everybody does it.
Yeah.
But
I'd absolutely.
is there some kids that maybe you think that are from around this area that might have a chance to college rodeo for you at Western?
Absolutely, and I talk to those kids all the time. I guess the biggest thing I talk with those kids, I know some of them. It depends on, do you want to stay in Dillon, I guess.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah, and that's what I would love. I would love to stay local with those kids. I want them just to come to Western, and I actually do. Let them come up to practice with us. Anybody that wants to in the high school rodeo, just to get them. Yeah, they kind of get that, upper level, or I guess a little bit more experience. If you're rodeoing against kids in college, like you're kind of seeing what it takes to get to college, you kind of get that feel of what it's going to have to, what you got to work for to get there.
Right.
But no, there's a couple, and Murphy Gosh, I mean, I would give a shout out to the Goshes. She did really good down there at the high school finals as a freshman and stuff. And so, absolutely, I'd love for those kids to stay here at Western. But at the same time, I understand if they want to leave too. But at the same time, I understand it's good to get away from home a little bit too, and kind of have to be on your own a little bit and learn to, some responsibilities. Because I know a lot of them, when they stay in Dillon, then they keep their horses at home, and I think they kind of maybe lose that when I came to Dillon here, I was far enough from home that I was on my own. I had to you kind of had to start growing up a little bit with those responsibilities and stuff. So that's also good for life. Learn, those kids got to figure that out. But no, absolutely, I would love for there's a couple senior steer wrestlers this year. I would love for those guys to stay too if they would like it. So
and it's important, I think, for everybody to know how important that rodeo club banquet is to your program.
100%. So without that, and that's that's a selling point on my recruiting. I get the parents that'll ask me, what kind of support does what kind of support does your rodeo team have here? Because not every team in every town has sometimes their community doesn't really even know about the rodeo program. And I said, we have a banquet where we sell our tickets out. We limit it to 750 just because that's all we can feed. Right. I was like, that tells you right there what kind of support we get, and that banquet is huge, and that's shout outs to Oli for all the work she put into that, building that up. So she, I hear stories when they used to have a potluck down at, I think it was the American or the Eagle.
No, it used to be at the Elks.
The Elks, yeah.
Yes.
So, I hear stories about that, and, starting out as a potluck down there to feeding 750 people, where we're max capacity there in the arena. So
when it was at the Elks Lodge, there was no capacity. It was like this in there. It was just like it was so full.
I truly think if we had a bigger venue, we could feed more people. We're always sold out, and so that's really good to see. That's very fortunate to have that. So that's that kind of support.
We're not going to be here forever, and you want to leave it better than you found it.